Are people still doing these videos? I know we're like halfway through January, but better late than never. Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I am here with my 2017 wrap-up and goals for 2018. So I didn't have very many goals for my reading in 2017, so I'll go through them very quickly. Basically, I had my Goodreads challenge, which was to read 60 books, and I just had this sort of vague idea that I wanted to read from different genres more widely. Happily, I accomplished both of those goals. I actually read 144 books last year, which I am really happy with. And I had an average rating of 3.7 stars approximately, which is really good for me. That suggests that I had a pretty good reading year and that I enjoyed a good number of books that I read. Of those books, 9 of them were rereads, but the other 135 of them were new books. I also did really well with my very loosely defined genre goal. Just a quick rundown of the genres I read. I've got my very official notebook here with all of my scribbled notes on it. I read 11 classic novels, 13 fairy tale retellings, 51 fantasy novels, 11 sci-fi books, 4 dystopians, 8 nonfictions, 13 historical fiction books, 9 contemporary novels, 3 poetry books, 4 romance novels, 10 paranormal or urban fantasy books, 4 magical realism books, and 3 that were mystery/thriller. Unsurprisingly, fantasy was the genre I read from most because that is my favorite genre, but I think I did a pretty good job of reading more widely. So I'm going to consider that goal checked off for 2017. Of course, moving forward, I would like to continue to read from a wide variety of genres because that's something I enjoy and I like expanding my horizons like that. If you're curious about the star ratings I gave, here is that number. I gave 1 book 1 star, 1 book 1.5 stars, 7 books were 2 stars, 5 books were 2.5 stars, 38 books were 3 stars, 6 books were 3.5 stars, 49 books were 4 stars, 1 was 4.5, and 36 were 5-star books. So as reflected in my average rating, I had quite a few mediocre books, but I had a great number of 4 stars and up, which to me is really exciting. So those are pretty much all of the specific goals I had for my reading in 2017. Of course, I didn't have my channel then, so that was sort of just in my own head, but I think I did really well. I'm very happy with my reading year overall. Now, moving into 2018 and my reading goals for this year. My Goodreads goal is set at 70 books this time, which is 10 more than my goal last year. I'm hoping and expecting to read more than that, but I didn't want to pressure myself too much, although I do enjoy having a target number. I would also like to participate in some readathons this year. I already have one video up on a readathon I am participating in, and that is the Rereadathon created by Michael from Catalyst Reads. I will link his channel down below and also my video where I announce my TBR for the year. Regarding my purchase of books, I do have one goal. I don't want to stop hauling books or anything, but I do plan to buy fewer, and that is mainly as a result of this wish I have to not buy books because I'm expecting to be excited about them. And what I mean by that is that a lot of us, I think, are mood readers and we kind of gravitate towards different books at different times. There might be a book that you're expecting to love later, but you're just not in the mood for it. I sometimes will buy that book anyway, even though I know that I'm not going to read it right away. And so far, I'm doing pretty good about that. There are a couple of books that I know I'm going to love, but I don't feel in the mood for them in the foreseeable future, so I didn't pick them up. I know that sounds like kind of an obvious goal, but it's sort of a bad habit that I want to break myself of, so I'm making it an official goal for 2018. Sort of related to that book buying goal is this goal I have to not force myself to read books before I'm excited for them. So books that I already own and ones that I'm sure I will like, but if I'm not in the mood for it, I don't want to try and make myself read it at that particular moment, just because I've been anticipating it for a long time and I'm expecting to want to read it. In the coming year, I also want to make more of an effort to read bind-ups and story collections that I own. Ones that I told myself, oh, this will be great to sort of dip in and out of and read a story here or there, which in theory sounds like a great idea, but I haven't really done that yet. I'm talking about books like The Starlit Wood, which is a collection of fairy tales or fantasy stories from a bunch of different authors that I'm really excited to read, so why haven't I started reading it yet, you know? I also have some gorgeous Barnes & Noble editions of fairy tales from around the world and ones of Hans Christian Andersen that I've had for a long time and I haven't read a lot of stories from them. So I think it might be kind of fun to actually start picking those up when I just want something quick. I'm not a huge fan of the short story format, but I do tend to enjoy it more when it's a genre that I love, like fantasy or like classic fairy tales. In addition to continuing to read a wide variety of genres, I would also like to kind of go back to some of my favorite genres that I always say are my favorite, but I never seem to read from. Obviously, I'm not talking about fantasy, since I always enjoy that and I always pick that up, which I'm happy with and I don't want to change. But things like historical fiction, where I always count it as one of my favorite genres, and I do believe it is one of my favorite things to read about, but I don't pick it up as often as I feel like I should, considering it's one of my favorite genres. There's a few books in particular that I am really looking forward to reading. These Shallow Graves comes to mind as a historical fiction novel that I own and I think I'm really going to enjoy, but I still haven't read it yet, so that's something I want to get back to in 2018. Another genre that I want to make a point to read more from is nonfiction. That's a type of book that I always considered myself to not enjoy, but I've read, how many was that? I've read 8 nonfiction books in 2017, and I loved all of them. I'm thinking back and I think I really enjoyed every single one that I read, which should encourage me to pick it up more often. And I think the reason that I don't gravitate towards it is not because there's no nonfiction that I enjoy, which obviously isn't true, but it's because I have this incorrect idea in my head that reading nonfiction means reading like dry scholarly texts or, you know, books that are only about like science and, you know, the hard sciences and things like that. Which if you do enjoy reading those, that's awesome. But I think I need to accept that that's not the only nonfiction out there. You know, it doesn't have to be a really, really serious book for it to count as nonfiction or to be something that you can enjoy and not feel ashamed of. For example, one of the books I read in 2017 that I really, really enjoyed was War Paint by Lindy Woodhead, and that is a biography of Helena Rubinstein and Elizabeth Arden, two queens of the cosmetic industry, and it just followed their rivalry and their lives and how they made a place for themselves in a male-dominated world. And it was fantastic. It was so well written and I loved that book. So I really want to get more into picking up nonfiction that appeals to me and being okay if it's not something that would immediately come to mind when you hear nonfiction. And finally, my last reading goal for 2018 is one I haven't fully committed myself to yet, which maybe I shouldn't even mention it here, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. And that is, I really, really want to finish some series that I've started recently. A lot of them are trilogies, and there's not that many books left. In some cases, I only have one book left in the series, but I still haven't read it, even though I really enjoyed the other books. I didn't used to have this problem, but recently I've sort of developed this habit of when I really enjoy the first book in a series, I will put off the rest of it because I want to like save it for some reason. I don't know why I'm starting to do that, but I want it to stop. So in 2018, I do want to finish some of the series that I have already enjoyed and that I should just finish so I'm done with them. And so I don't start to forget the plot or get less excited about the book when I finally do pick it up. I think for this one I'm actually going to make a separate video on series I want to finish in 2018, so stay tuned for that if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so those are all of my reading goals for 2018 and kind of a look back at how I did in 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed this and that it was kind of interesting for you. I really enjoy these types of reading goal videos, and I think it's a great way to, you know, hold myself accountable, but also to exchange wishes for the new year and kind of encourage each other as we try to follow our reading goals. Let me know one of your reading goals for 2018 in the comments below. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!